It is Monday, September the 1st, 2025, some nearly 9 months since the last time we were with you. Um, don't actually feel like it's time, but it is time. It's going to be a little bit of a difficult one, but we are glad to be with you. And we're going to start it off by honoring our dear Olga. Let's go. Still, it is great to be with you all. This is IBSI's forum on Israel, Africa, and Black America, our online forum. We have a live version of this that we started at the end of last year. But again, we are back. We are back now after, again, nearly 9 months of not having our online forum and doing a few forums across the country after we had started back in September of last year in DC. So we were in Atlanta. We've been in North Carolina or Charlotte, right where we live, and one other place too. Right now, it's escaping me, but we have not been online. So welcome here, welcome back for those of you who are regular attendees, and if this is your first time, welcome here for the first time. Israel's IBSI's forum on Israel, Africa, and Black America. I'm Olga Washington. I am the founder and the CEO of IBSI, Institute for Black Solidarity with Israel. I started this actual forum maybe 2022. And after a while of doing it, sharing different information with you, as you'll see here, we cover lots of different things as pertains to Israel, as it pertains to Africa and the African diaspora and all the things in between. And so we, got a lot of stuff planned for you on tonight. But after a while, the executive director of IBSI, who's my son, Joshua Washington, he began to host. And after a while, he began to co-host with our daughter-in-law, our dearly departed daughter-in-law, Olga Meshoe Washington. So they were doing it together. They did an awesome job. And we are starting, it's funny, we had a staff meeting, and one of my daughters she does lots of different roles that she plays and did her job and different things. And she was wondering, she felt emotional about it. And she was wondering if her father was ready. And I had to preach a sermon years ago to our congregation. We're in California. God had given me the title, "You may not be ready, but it's time." But it is time. So I wanted to just be sure about that. Actually, I'd started a radio program last year called Truth to Power Live with Olga Washington. And that has not resumed since Olga's passing either. And at some point that will, but not right now. Not right now. So we're just starting this now. As you'll see, there's lots that's going on. You go to ibsi.org to find out more about our organization, ibsi.org. Of course, we're a nonprofit organization, so you can go to give, and your giving is tax deductible. Go to ibsi.org/donate. And again, all of the gifts that you give help us do the work that we do, strengthening both the Black and Jewish communities as well as Africa, Israel. There's a lot of, I know I'm repeating myself, a lot going on. I sent our schedule to my family and to the staff that from September literally to the end of the year, and it's kind of insane across the country and out of the country multiple times. I'll say something about Ethiopia specifically in a little while, but yeah, there's a lot that's happening. And post October 7th, the post October 7th world is a very, very more intense place. Not that everything was not intense beforehand, but so we have been busy as an organization. Olga passed away in the first week of January, and right at the second week of January. And our organization had pretty much, here and there, done some different events. And again, for those of you, our partners, we are supposed to speak in different places and everything. You all been more than gracious. Some of those things have been rescheduled for later in the year or earlier next year. And so we appreciate all of that. We did begin to do events around late March or so, going to different places. doing some speaking and lots of collaboration. There's been a lot of collaboration. There's a lot of meeting with other organizations and people, Black American organizations, Jewish organizations, lots of different things, initiatives, different thoughts. And we've also made some statements along the way as well, particularly in light of the new Trump administration coming in January. Been some good, been some bad, some things that we've kind of weighed in on. I'll share that with you as well. But again, glad that you all could be here. We see people coming in. Welcome. Glad that you are here. Yes, we're back on Mondays, 8 p.m. Eastern. Mondays, every Monday, 8 p.m. Eastern. IBSI's Forum on Israel, Africa, and Black America, our live forum, virtual. And again, when you join, I saw someone in the email, I think earlier today, you may be watching this on YouTube. We are on YouTube. We are on LinkedIn, our LinkedIn page, IBSI LinkedIn page. We're on Instagram. We should be on Instagram. Both my personal page, hey, you guys, and the IBSI page on Twitter, on X, and on Facebook. We're on all of those. We have not resumed the, what's that called again? The, boy, that's a shame. The one with the hand waving signal. The producers can remember that. I don't remember what it's called. But we have not resumed that particular one. It's a shame. I should remember. I'm not trying to throw shade or nothing. I just can't think about it right now. But we will a little bit later on. So again, you can join us for all of those. If you're not really sure and how you want to join, or if you're sharing with other people, go to our website, ibsi.org, and then you can just scroll down to the bottom, and all of the social media pages are there. So once you click on any of those, X or YouTube or LinkedIn even, it should take you to the live session here on Mondays. Again, I'll be doing it Monday for a little while. We're going to be having some guest hosts with us as well. A couple of people, one in particular, who are part of our IBSI ambassadors, our 2022-23 IBSI ambassadors. And then we'll be having other guests from outside the organization that'll be joining us from time to time. That's it, Clubhouse. That's what it was. They're helping me. Clubhouse. We were on Clubhouse for a little while. We have not resumed Clubhouse. The people are still on Clubhouse a lot. I haven't been on it in a long time, but we will resume it if that's what we need to do. That's not a problem as well. All right. So I want to start there. So Olga Meshoe Washington, she was South African. Many of you knew her. If you didn't know her, she was my daughter-in-law, my son's wife. They're married for 7 years. And we have 2 beautiful grandchildren from that union of Joshua and Olga, Ezra and Judah. Ezra, who's 6, Judah, who's 4. It has been very difficult. It's still surreal. We are still emotional. We'll cry, we'll talk, we'll laugh, and we'll remember, and we'll cry some more, all of those things. And it's, again, this is the 9th month, right? It was January, now we're in September, and we had 3 different services for Olga. The first one was in March of 2025 this year, yes, where we buried her body in Tel Regev Cemetery in Haifa. The link to that, we're not streaming on here, but we will be at some point on our Substack. IBSI.substack.com is what's called our Africa Israel Weekly. One of those articles that's on there, although we'll be reorganizing for you, it's in chronological order. If you go back to March or April, you'll see the link for Olga's burial. And so part of it is on the video there. Our good friends there in Israel were able to capture it for us and streamed it and everything. So if you want to see that, you can, the ceremony itself. Then we had a second ceremony in South Africa, her home at Hope of Glory Tabernacle Hope of Glory, where her father is the pastor, Reverend Kenneth Meshoe, also a parliament member in South Africa. And then finally, it was, I can't remember the month right now, I'm scared my brain. We had a celebration in the Charlotte area here. Shout out to Dr. Peter Wins and all the staff at Antioch International Church. It was a musical there. We sung and worshiped and everything, had a great time. A lot of our IBSI ambassadors were there, different friends from the different community, the Christian community, Jewish community. We had an amazing time. At that last memorial, our oldest daughter, Sarah, we asked her to put together a video, a tribute of Olga. And so I wanted to share that with you here. No one has seen it. We have not put it online. So you're the first ones to see it, other than our friends and family who attended the celebration with us on that day. I still can't remember the month whether it was, but it was a few months ago. Again, my brain doesn't work that way anymore. But it was Sarah did a beautiful job And so some of Olga's favorite worship songs and gospel songs are on there from some of the African gospel artists and everything. So I want you to take a look at our producer has it queued up. So go ahead and let's take a look at it now. I'll give you an opportunity. It's a few minutes long, but this is the video tribute that we played for Olga's ceremony that we had here in the Charlotte, North Carolina area.
Hallelujah. Somebody magnify the Lord with me. Lord my God, how excellent is thy name in all the earth. I will praise thee as long as I live. I will tell of your wonderful love. You've been more than a friend. You've kept your word. Even I don't deserve it now. And with all that's within me, I raise the song of praise to you. Come on everybody, let's celebrate our great and mighty God. He's worthy to be praised.
Lord my God, how excellent is thy name in all the earth. I will praise thee as long as I live. Tell of your great love.
You've been more than a friend.
You've kept your word.
Even I don't deserve it.
And with all that's within me, I raise the song of praise to you.
For your mercy never fails me. All my days I've been held in your hand. From the moment that I wake up until I lay my head, oh, I will sing of the goodness of God. 'Cause all my life you have been faithful. And all my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, oh, I will sing of the goodness of God. I love your voice. You have led me through the fire, and in darkest night, you are close like no other. I've known you as a father, I've known you as a friend, and I have lived in the goodness of God. Hey, 'cause all my life you have been faithful. Oh yes you have. And all my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, oh I will sing of the goodness of God. And
it was very difficult to watch that a few months ago when we had her ceremony, and it is just as difficult now. And we wanted to share it with you. Again, we were able to enjoy it together as a family and as the friends and all the loved ones gathering together. So we wanted to start tonight in that way. I'll say it again, as I said in the beginning. You may not be ready, but it's time. There was something God placed in my spirit years ago. It became a sermon, but it wasn't a sermon at first. What it was just a principle. It was a spiritual reality that there are times when we move forward and it's completely by faith. Paul said we walk by faith, not by sight. And so this is very difficult to see. I mean, the pictures are beautiful. She was always a beautiful young lady, her family and everything. And so her family misses her, friends, they miss her. And so I, in May, I was in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, at a conference there. It was essentially an African Zionist conference, if you will, called Let Africa Go. And it was already scheduled for months before. And originally Olga and Joshua and Gogo, who is the grandmother of the kids, and myself, it was going to be the four of us, along with the kids and Annie. And so I wasn't sure if I was still going to go, but I wound up going. Joshua and I went together. Some of you saw the posting about that. And that was my second time in Ethiopia. Olga called herself a daughter of Africa. She loved South Africa, her home, and she loved the continent. She loved the Lord. She loved Israel. And all those things for her converged similarly, like me, though I was born here in the United States. And her advocacy, where Israel is concerned, was born out of that love. Nothing else. There was, like me, although she was an attorney and all of those things, her career changed. Her life path, if you will, changed when God got a hold of her, where Israel was concerned, Israel, Africa, all of those things. And so while I was there in Ethiopia for the conference, Dr. Abera, who is the founder and the leader of El Shaddai television ministry there, as well as an entrepreneur in other areas, everything, good man, and loves his country like Olga loved her. He loves Ethiopia, loves Africa, and God has placed on his heart some very bold things where Africa and Israel are concerned. And so he and I were reunited. I was there visiting him. Yes, absolutely, Andrea. It was a beautiful tribute. Again, shout out to my daughter, Sarah, for putting that together, for even doing that. I know that was emotional for Sarah as well. And you saw Sarah in those pictures. I didn't pause it so you'd see everybody, but we have a big family, and Olga was very much, my wife and I were blessed with 5 daughters. And when Joshua married Olga, we were blessed with the 6th. And so we give God praise and thanks for it, even though this is very difficult. We are thankful for the time that we had with her and for his grace in moving forward. I mean, just say, pause, say the boys are doing great. Joshua's doing fine. I mean, he's hurting, all those things. He's going through the grieving process. We talk. He's a musician. He's performing. As a matter of fact, I forgot to do something and go. You remind me. I'll do this at the end to make sure I give a shout out, because Joshua will be performing in New York, and I'll say something about that in a moment. So we went to the event, and then Dr. Habte there had an idea of what some guys placed something on his heart. So there are 2 major initiatives, or 2 major, I guess, initiatives that IBSI is involved in that you'll never see us post about. There's more than that, but 2 main ones. It's not going to be on social media, none of those things. We'll share things with the followers, and so people can see and maybe be inspired by whatever. But there's some work that we are doing now. Olga, we were talking about this, we as a group, and then Olga and I just ourselves as well. There's some things that, talk about what will happen with IBSI going forward. Daisy, the organization that her father said is a Black Zionist organization in South Africa. She was also the CEO of that, along with everything else she was doing. And we were having some very broad and deep conversations about the future of not just IBSI, not just Daisy, but what we truly believed Israel solidarity and the whole advocacy space looked like where Africa was concerned. Not that we were speaking for the continent or speaking for all Black people. We're talking about what we felt really was the major thrust, what we needed to do, some things that were changing. And this wasn't just in the light of October the 7th, but after October 7th especially. So in 2025, we're looking ahead. When we were looking ahead to 2025, there were some major things that we were discussing. And what has happened since her very untimely passing in January, those things have unfolded and kind of mushroomed. And so it will have me, for example, Joshua won't be with me all the time, but I'll be in Ethiopia 2 or 3 times over these next several months. I'll be in Israel 2 or 3 times over these next several months. These things are all connected. There's a triangle with the United States, Israel, Africa. When we do the Africa part, it's always connected to the African diaspora, whether that's in Europe, but particularly here in the United States. Black American leaders. IBSI's vision has always been that Black Americans are diaspora of Africa. Not that they're not Black Americans and proud Americans, but when it comes to this issue where Israel, both biblically, spiritually, geopolitically, economically, in terms of the economies, in terms of the region there are a lot of connectors that are there, and we'll get into that. I'm sure, not all tonight, but those their initiatives, 2 in particular, that we are involved in that we won't talk about publicly. These will only be behind the scenes. The people who will know will be our staff, our board members, that type of thing. And when you see something posted on there, you'll see a part of something, right? For you might see a picture, like I'm in Ethiopia here pretty soon, a video clip, maybe an interview type of thing, and that type of thing. You'll see that. But we just know, I can say it like this, just know that there are some and we thank God for it, some very key and crucial things that are happening behind the scenes, partnering with our African colleagues, with our Israeli colleagues in the Christian community, in the Jewish community. There are some who are Muslim who are part of these other things that are, especially when we're talking about the type of terrorism that's going on, these very brave Muslims who are part of it, who are speaking truth to power, who are part of solutions that are happening behind the scenes. So there's a lot that's going on there. So again, some of it, not doing it to be cryptic, but just to let you know, there's a forward-facing thing that IBSI does. That's always been the case, but now more than ever before. And there's a behind-the-scenes thing that's happening. And so again, we are looking forward to moving forward. That it's heavy what we're doing. I would love for her to be here. I myself, Olga, there's not just, I mean, the work as a family, all those things, but when it comes to the work, I'm going, yep, Olga will do this part. Or I would say, Olga, what do you think about this part of the thing? So yes, this is, just know that there's much that's happening. And I would like to believe that if she sees that's what's happening, sees what's going on, she would know that that's exactly what we were talking about before she preceded us to the New Jerusalem, right? So again, I wanted to thank you for that. And again, we'll share that'll be on the actual tribute. We'll be on a couple of clips from Forum. There's some excerpts that we'll share a little bit later on, so that people can see that and enjoy that as well. So again, thank you for all your prayers. Thank you for all of your well wishes and everything. Let's go ahead and do that now. Go. If you have that there, I know that there's a link that's there. Journey to Healing. I sent out an email. So you can go to IBSI.org. This is the Institute for Black Solidarity with Israel. Our first forum on Israel, Africa, and Black America since Olga's passing. We are here every Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern. And so we are just starting now. We have not done this forum here live like this. We've done a couple live in person. There's a in-person version of it. We haven't done this since January. So it's been almost 9 months. If you go to Joe Davi, so I don't have the graphic. It's funny. Go if you want to. I don't know if there's a way that you can find it and get it from Joshua. He did send it to me. My apologies, you all. There was something that I was supposed to share in the email, ibsi.org. You can join our emailing list. You can get information from there as well. So what I'm doing right now, my son had given it to me, and Gogo, what I'm going to do is send this to you. So you all I apologize to you all for being so informal, but hey, we all family, as Bernie Mac used to say, another person gone too soon. I texted to you, Mrs. Producer. So if you want to add it to that file there, you can do that as well at some point later on. But yes, Journey to Healing. Joshua has been, my son has always been more of an extrovert, whereas I am more of an introvert, right? And so Joshua, we're both musicians, but he's much more outward. He's always been that way from the time he was a little kid, whether he's making up songs, writing songs, and doing his dances or whatever like that. He always wanted to have everybody see and be a part of it, and hey, come with me. And Joshua's always do the party thing, right? And he would share what was on his heart with everyone. So he was writing very, very deep songs and lyrics in high school. I can talk a whole conversation about that. So Journey to Healing has been something that's been on his heart, that songs, including a couple songs that he wrote for Olga that she was not able to hear all completely finished. And so he's sharing these things. And as he's grieving, he is sharing this process. And many have reached out to him and said it has been helping him, because we're aware of the fact that we don't go through anything in a vacuum. Other people are experiencing life in their own way as well. And so if we can sometimes do something to help somebody else, that's a tremendous thing. Even for us, it does even good for us. So Journey to Healing is the name of Joshua's concert. He started earlier this year. He will be in New York folk, at the Upper East Side Manhattan on his tour September the 4th, which is 3 days from now. So what is that, a Thursday, September the 4th? Am I saying it right? Thursday, September the 4th, Joshua will be in New York, Manhattan. You can go, if you want to join them there, go check out at the tickets, jodavimusic.com, jodavimusic.com. That's J-O, Davi as in David, jodavimusic.com. And you can click on there and you'll see where he'll be in New York. And I think he has a couple other ones. There's something happening in the Charlotte area as well. We're also doing a Hanukkah thing, which is later on. We're doing that some in conjunction with our friends at Stand With Us. So we're doing a few here in town, a few here in the States. And we may very well be in Israel in December. Well, I'll be there for something else in December. I may be coming back in December, right before Hanukkah, to do a few performances with THP and Jodavi, the Hebrew Project artist. And so, yeah, be on the lookout for that. So you can go to jodavimusic.com and you can click on there. It takes you to the ticket thing there. So I forgot to give that shout out earlier. Again, if you want to put the graphic up later on Gogo, you can. If you want to add it to there, I text it to you. If not, then that's okay. But yeah, jodavimusic.com. All right, everybody. So that's the Journey to Healing. That's Joshua, what he's doing there. I want to move from there here now. And there's a couple of things. Let's see if we can get into them a little bit. The more controversial stuff. Here we go. If you go to our Substack, ibsi.substack.com, that's Africa Israel Weekly. There are several articles there. The newest one was on today. I might touch on that. I don't think so. But there's a couple of them that I want to refer to here in just a moment. The monumental struggle. The struggle between civilization and barbarism. Israel is on the front lines of this fight, has been for the longest. And October the 7th, when Hamas and Al-Qaeda operatives invaded Israel and slaughtered or abducted some 1,300 Israelis and foreign nationals. Some 40 of those hostages are still there in Israel now. We thank God for the ones who've been released. We continue to pray for the family, for the ones who've died in captivity. It's been a horrendous nightmare. And Israel, in this October for 2 years, has been in this particular fight. Israel's been fighting much longer than that for its existence. And fighting a kinetic war, fighting an ideological war, the media war. I'm going to say here right now, there is no famine or starvation happening in Gaza other than Hamas withholding food from the people of Gaza, period. There is no genocide taking place in Gaza. There is Israel fighting a war against Hamas that's embedded in civilian populations, that is under tunnels. And Israel, better than any other military on the planet, has been eliminating the hostiles while unfortunately having to deal with civilian casualties as well. This is the reality. For those who think Israel needs to just pack it up and go home and cease fire, that's easy for you to say when it's not been your family who's been slaughtered and who are still being held hostage. Israel is attempting to retrieve its hostages, and it's attempting to eliminate the terrorists that started this in the first place. The terrorists that are doing what it's doing, whether it's Al-Qaeda, whether it's Hamas, are the same terrorists like Boko Haram in Nigeria, like Al-Shabaab in Kenya and Somalia, like the Janjaweed and the RSF in Sudan. They are slaughtering, raping, displacing Africans by the millions, not to mention what's going on in the Middle East and places like Afghanistan. The genocide of the Druze, Christians, and Alawites in Syria. This is the same fight. Just like Israel has been doing targeted strikes of Damascus to help the Druze and others in Syria, as if it didn't have enough to do, while the world and while world opinion and all these fake human rights groups like the Human Rights Commission there in the United Nations and everything continue to spit on and kick and denigrate and throw all kind of daggers at Israel. Israel is fighting on behalf of the entire free world for its own existence first and foremost, and then on behalf of everyone else who doesn't want to live under Sharia, everyone else who doesn't want to live under some sort of brutal occupation, the real occupation that says either you conform to this version of Islam or we're going to slaughter you. This is the reality of what's happening right now. And no one other than Israelis, no one knows this better than Africans. Because as the global Islamic caliphate continues to become a reality, it is slaughtering people in Africa more than any other region, particularly the Western Sahel. This is the reality. All the other stuff that you're hearing is a bunch of blah, 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 blah. When they start the conversation about Israel, nope. Let's talk about Hamas. Let's talk about Al-Qaeda. Let's talk about these terrorist groups that are slaughtering Christians, Muslims, Jews, Alawites, other Muslims. Like I said already, this is the reality of what's happening. They still have sex slaves. I was talking to an Israeli friend about a month ago who works in another area, and we're doing some Africa-Israel work together. And then they let me know that they had to kind of stop a lot of what they were doing and begin a lot of the relief missions in Syria. Again, the media is not telling you this stuff. They're trying to help the people in Syria who are being slaughtered, yes, by the Jilani government. And for those of you getting your feels about this, the dude is ISIS, he's Al-Qaeda, and hasn't changed anything. He's completely slaughtering these people. And they said to me, Pastor Dumisani, I'm going to do this as tactfully as I can. Pastor Dumisani, they said, we've just ordered 5,000 morning after pills. This is an Israeli talking about the relief missions that they're doing in Syria. And I'm not going any further than that. Again, I'll grab, and they began to just, their voices trembled as they said it on the book. These are demons. This is beyond evil. That's what Israel's fighting against. And that's what Israel, in the midst of its fighting, trying to help other people fight. And what does it get for it? A lot of Israel committing genocide and free Palestine. These people have lost their minds, right? But again, IBSI hasn't lost its mind. So that is happening. Unfortunately, in the West, as I've said many times before, Israel is winning the kinetic war. Believe it or not, here's this tiny Jewish state holding it down. But the West is losing the ideological war. The Muslim Brotherhood and its whole decades-long plan to subvert the West, it has worked like a charm, including here in the United States. And there's much to be concerned with. Let me get real political real here and say this. Yes, voted for President Trump. Would do it again. The Democrats were just not an option. You know, you're going to be partisan. I mean, pardon me, logical, right? Kamala Harris resuming what the Biden administration was not going to happen, right? Unfortunately, I can tell you, we as an organization are less than enthralled with much of what we've seen. There's good things to applaud, and we do that. Did that say anything when the Obama administration did something well? We applaud it. When it often would do something not well, we would talk about it, right? And people from the left, oh, Pastor Messiah, we support Obama. He's a black president. Man, I don't care about none of that stuff. I'm gonna call it out, right? Fast forward to now. Some of the folks on the right saying the same crap the folks on the left said about the Obama administration. And what I'm talking about, let's show a couple of them real quick, right? So there's a couple of articles. You can go to the Substack, ibsi.substack.com, Africa Israel Weekly. But there's two in particular I want to mention. One is called Compromise. You can put that on there, Mr. Producer. And there's another one that's called Blood on Our Hands. So the overlay here, unless it's not on there, let me see if it's not on there. Compromise is a piece. I don't see it on there. I don't know why I don't see it on there. Let me do it myself if I can. Yep, there. Can't do it. There. Compromise, the subtitle, How the New Trump Administration Has Aligned with Israel's and Africa's Enemies. And the people getting their feels about it, you have to actually read the article, right? Read the article. And then this particular article, what it deals with is the premise of it is the Trump administration's sanctions against the government of South Africa, among other things, for its role in taking Israel to the International Court of Justice, right? We talk about that in there, and I think I'm going to move it from here. I think I can move it away. Can I move it away there? Yeah, I can't do it like that. Let me see here. I'm doing it myself. I'm kind of a do-it-yourself thing here. Yeah. So you can go to ibsi.substack.com. You can check that out. Compromise. And the reason for that article, we deal with what happened a few months ago when President Trump hosted President Cyril Ramaphosa of South Africa, took him to task around the white farmers thing. We didn't deal with that in the article, not because it's not important, but because we were staying focused on a specific thing. Our specific thing was that the Trump administration has made it public that it is sanctioning South Africa, among other things, for its role in taking Israel to the International Court of Justice and accusing Israel of genocide. The article talks about how the fact, however, is that Iran and Qatar and Hamas and these other terrorists are the ones who are bankrolling this actual move. In other words, South Africa's government, the ANC, is the puppet on the stage, but the strings are being pulled by Qatar and Iran. And how the Trump administration's sanctioning South Africa, which we have no problem with that. If you read the article, and you'll see one of the things I mentioned in there, that Olga, who's a Black South African national, would take her own government to task when it came to its anti-Semitism and anti-Zionism, again, from the ANC. Not speaking for the vast majority of Black South Africans, like the vast majority of Sub-Saharan Africa, are Christians and who support Israel. That this is just the case. And we'll talk about the demographics on another day, right? What's actually going on the world stage in terms of population. But Olga has done it. So she herself and our organization have very much called out South Africa's ANC for its treatment of Israel and the rising anti-Semitism within its own type of shtick, if you will. So this is not about President Trump not calling out the Black South African. No, absolutely not. But to not call it out. And what's happened over the last several months, ladies and gentlemen, this has been going on for a while, particularly since post-October the 7th. But, we've been in lots of meetings. IBSI has been, coalition meetings, different meetings in person, online. I was just in DC the other day, and then I was in DC a few weeks before that, and I was in DC a couple months before that, and then here, there, and different. And some of those meetings are less helpful than others. And what I found, and this is nothing new, but seen it regurgitated quite a bit, is that calling the meeting and actually discussing what needs to be discussed are two different things. And often there is an unwillingness, just in human nature, to deal with things that are difficult. So when I brought these things up, again, I've done the tango with the left and the right. I'm a registered independent, right? I don't really care when it comes to policies, what I'm actually discussing. So for the ones who are always trying to take me to task, Pastor Musani, you have to understand that the reason why the Trump administration is doing this with South Africa, we want to say because you have to understand Qatar, they're this player, and this is how it is on the chessboard, the 4D chess and chess, and we need to understand that President Trump, he's gonna refrain from this with Qatar because he's got a bigger plan in mind. He's got this bigger goal. And I'm sitting there listening on that and going, are you finished? Right. So then my question was, I've asked this question to all the smart people in the room over and over again, and there's never an answer. I said, okay, fine. If what you're saying is true, and the reason why the Trump administration is singling out South Africa and ignoring Iran and Qatar, they bombed Iran and Qatar for its role in the ICJ case. So don't start switching it up now. This man up and have the real conversation. If they're going to ignore Qatar and Iran, or Qatar and Hamas, or just Qatar, whatever makes you feel better, right? If they're going to take South Africa to task and ignore Qatar and then continue to have this relationship, $1.2 trillion, oh, you're so handsome. Okay, whatever. Okay, but here's my thing. After all that 4D chess stuff you done told me, my question is simple. Then why even bring up the ICJ case? If you are not going to deal with the people who are you following me? If you're going to arrest the hitman who carried out the hit, but you're not going to arrest the guy, the mob boss who sent him to the house to make the hit, you look like a punk. You look like you're afraid of the mob boss. If you're going to take to task the person who did it, but not the person who bankrolled it, who masterminded it, you look weak, you look feckless. So it would be better for you to leave it alone. And each person that asked that question has zero answer. My question again, if President Trump, the Trump administration, is going to take South Africa to task for the ICJ case for Israel, against Israel, and ignore Qatar, why even do it at all? Why don't just pretend where Qatar is concerned, you're pretending like it doesn't exist. So do the same thing with South Africa. It makes you look like you're afraid of the Qataris. And do you know what the smell of fear does in that part of the world? Do you know what jihadists do when they know that you're afraid? They pedal to the metal. That's exactly what's happening. When those two young Israelis that were killed, assassinated on the streets of Washington, D.C. a few months ago, Qatari state media laughed. They cracked. We want some more blood. So again, and there's no free press in Qatar. There's no free press in Gaza, right? That was the Qataris. The Qataris were mocking us. While that free Palestine jerk killed those two young people and talked about, yeah, I did it for Palestine, right? So they were mocking us. They were mocking our leaders. Here, this man assassinates these two young people who just attended and I've been, as my colleagues, in and out of Washington, D.C. multiple times over the last several years, especially since October 7th. That could have been any one of us. So Qatar gonna laugh. This is the funniest thing in the world to them. Yeah, we want some more. And we posted about that as well. So, okay. So when you then take South Africa to task, Mr. President, with all due respect, and you ignore Qatar, it makes you look weak, Mr. President. It makes us look weak, and it makes us more vulnerable. That's what that compromise article is about. Again, am I doing it to you know what? Like I said to the church, I love you enough to not care what you feel about it, right? When Obama was setting stuff on fire, let's go to the next thing. Thank you. Blood on our hands. This is the other article. Now, you go on the thing and you can get again, IBSI.substack.com. Blood on our hands was the later one that we wrote in the subtitle, How the Obama and Trump Administrations Empowered the Genocides in Nigeria and Syria. That's Blood on Our Hands. Go to IBSI.substack.com, or you go to IBSI.org and you scroll down to Israel Africa Weekly. That's the Africa Israel Weekly. That's the name of our Substack. Okay. So in that article, again, with receipts, there's articles that are links that are there so that you can see. Again, we're not trying to convince people. We're just making the case. Whether you agree or not is wholly irrelevant to us. What we're trying to actually do, because even right now, I'm not trying to convince you and make you see it my way. I'm just explaining to you why we see it this way. Okay, yeah. So we paralleled what just happened in Syria to what happened in Nigeria 10 years ago. And I'm not going to go over the whole article. You have to read it yourself. But suffice to say that Nigeria today is arguably, and I think in terms of stats, it may be true, and I have the article, that part of the link on there as well. The most dangerous place to be a Christian on the planet, anywhere between 3 to 4, and depending on how much it spikes, 5,000 Christians every year are slaughtered in Nigeria. Most of them by the Fulani herdsmen. There's also Boko Haram. Boko Haram, those of you who don't remember, in 2014, the terrorist group Boko Haram, which has its origins in the earlier 2000s, right? But they began to, with State Department money from USAID. Yes, we have all those receipts. You can click on the article, just read the article. We have all the receipts, they're there. Much of their funding came from, and unfortunately, it's probably still coming from, they talk about, oh, yeah, USAID is no longer a thing. They've been saying that since the Trump administration began. Not his fault. He didn't start it, but they have not been able to stop it. Just like the payments to the Afghanistan, to the Taliban that are still going both to Afghanistan and to Doha, Qatar. We are still funding global terrorism, along with Qatar, along with Turkey, all right, so, and others. Right. So the Obama administration empowers Boko Haram. They abduct some 300, nearly 300 Christian girls. That was the whole Bring Back Our Girls. Remember that? Thank you. I'm glad you remember that. Michelle Obama held up the sign, Bring Back Our Girls, the hashtag. And maybe she didn't realize that her husband had a lot to do with what was going on in Nigeria in the first place. Goodluck Jonathan was the president then. He was trying to fight Boko Haram. And our State Department, from Hillary Clinton to John Kerry was the one that basically said they can't kill. They started to kill the terrorists. And John Kerry, and the link is in the article, basically said those are human rights violations. Yes, leftist John Kerry, the State Department head, told the head of Nigeria that killing terrorists was violating their human rights. I kid you not. It's in the article. Obama meddled in the 2015 election. That's Muhammadu Buhari come to, again, all the receipts are there. This is not just talking. We have all of the information there for you in the article. And once Muhammadu Buhari was elected by the United States government, the Obama administration putting their thumb on the scale, they've been slaughtering Christians like it's going out of style since then. There's a new president there now, and can't remember his name right now, but again, Nigeria, the most dangerous place to be a Christian. And the point of that whole point was blood on our hands. But Nigeria, under Goodluck Jonathan, tried to fight. We tied their hands. We threatened them with sanctions. We threatened them because, although we have a very similar military relationship with Nigeria than we did with Israel. Israel gets a certain amount of tax dollars allocated to them, and they spend the tax dollars buying either American weapons or, and sharing their technology, all these things. People, Israel, we all get as much money. So the Marjorie Taylor Greene's Western, which I can't get into now, they always be running their mouth about how much money we get to Israel. They don't talk about none of these other nations. We get money to Jordan, Egypt. We helped Syria craft a $7 billion energy deal with Qatar and Turkey. And to the Syria part, the Biden administration removed the $10 million bounty from al-Jilani's head. They allowed him to escort himself in there. And Assad, who was the former head of Syria, was a very, very bad man, evil man. And nobody crying about him, none of that kind of stuff. We're not talking, bring back Assad. No, we're saying they're both bad. This dude may even be worse. Slaughtering by the thousands. And our fingerprints are all over it. So blood on our hands, literally. And I get with a Christian theology up in there, I quote from the book of Revelation, how the Bible says that the blood of the martyrs cries out from beneath the throne for vengeance. Hence that article. We are at another inflection point. That our concern is that as long as the Trump administration continues to favor Qatar, favor Turkey, and we're not talking about starting wars with these people, you guys, we're not talking about dropping bombs. Iran was a completely different thing, right? But we're talking about the ideological warfare. We're talking about the Sharia cities that are going up in different areas in different parts of the country, and there's almost no response to those types of things. How we are still funding terrorism. We're still sending millions of dollars every week to the Taliban, once again, based in Afghanistan and in Qatar. USAID is still a mess. right? And they're trying to fix it. And pray for Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State. They were a mess on our hands, right? But we are seeing much too much comfort with jihadists who want everyone destroyed. This is our concern. It has been our concern. So over these going on now 9 months of the administration, we continue to be concerned. So those are just two examples. There's other articles on there. There's another one that's called The System is Broken. It deals specifically with Ibrahim Traore, who's the president of Burkina Faso, and that role there. We did a part 1 and a part 2. You can check that out there. So you can see some of what we're actually talking about when we say these things. We're not just saying them. We're not saying them to be provocative and nothing like that. We bring the receipts. Again, whether you agree is a different thing, but we bring the receipts so at least you can see what it is that we're talking about. Let me just say this last thing real quick. I want to. So I'm not going to pull it up as a graphic or anything, but I want to connect that to the African Jewish Alliance. Go to africanjewishalliance.org, and I want you to make sure, please, if you don't mind, follow that. We are charter members of African Jewish Alliance. It's an organization that came up in the aftermath of October the 7th in Israel, and it was spearheaded much by Africans, along with our dear friend, Mr. Charles Jacobs. Shout out to Dr. Charles Jacobs of Americans for Peace and Tolerance. Also has done amazing work with the whole abolitionist thing. Of Charles and his colleagues have literally bought and freed slaves from Sudan. Charles has been on the cutting edge of this for a long time. And again, we did a whole tribute to him. He's not a tribute like he's gone. He's still with us. But we talked about that before, the work that he does in the early 2000s, the award that he received presented to him by Coretta Scott King for his work in terms of the whole anti-slavery movement. Charles has been a pioneer for a good long time. We are honored to work with him. And so we rock with Charles. We do. He helped start this organization, AfricanJewishAlliance.org, when Sudanese and Nigerians and Mauritanians saw the video of Hamas and the 7th century barbarism that it had executed on the Jewish people in Israel and those foreign nationals. They said, that happens to us every week. That happens in Nigeria every week. That happens in Sudan every week. I mean, and Sudan is so bad now. Even the United Nations, and that article is on there as well about, there's an article that's entitled, Africans are being killed, slaughtered like animals. And it talks about what's actually going on. In Sudan, it's one of those examples, whether you are an African Muslim or a Christian, if you are of African descent, even CNN reports of this as well, you are being slaughtered for being African. There are Arab Muslim militias that are slaughtering Africans for being African, and none of this is new. This is a 1,400-year-old reality, ladies and gentlemen. It really, really is. And so even the United Nations several months ago declared Sudan, the #1 humanitarian crisis of the world. The United Nations, which spends most of its time in its biased pursuit of Israel, even the United Nations stated, and that link is in there as well, that other article, you can check all those out on our Substack, said that they had to admit that Sudan is the worst, hands down. If there's no starving going on in Gaza other than Hamas. The starving is going on in Sudan and in places like Mauritania, places like Algeria, and the slavery and the mutilation and all of those things. But there are real atrocities happening. What Israel's being accused of is a lie. But those accusations are true in other parts of the world, and that's even the worst thing. That's the worst. Yeah. Anyway, so check that out. African Jewish Alliance. They are on. There's the website that's there, but also follow them on IG. They're posting different information for you, different videos, and so you can check that out. I want you to please follow them. People often ask, "What can I do? What can I do?" Share that information. Charles had also started the iabolish.org. Iabolish.org. That's a work in which they expose what's going on in terms of the slavery in other parts of the world, and then you can and they bring this to Congress, so you can be a part of that work as well. We help Charles, We are a part of that as well. And again, we want to be a part of the solutions. I think I need to do one last thing here. Yes. So a lot of projects we're working on. Some things we can't talk about out openly, but some things we can. The Institute for Black Solidarity with Israel is now partnering with Facts for Peace, as well as ATTN. I know that's a little thing for attention. So we're partnering with the good folks there, and we've started a new video series entitled "We Are Not the Same: How Free Palestine exploited the Black community. The initial intro video was just posted earlier this week. There's 7 chapters to it, the different short videos, but you'll see different ones that will deal with the PLO. They will deal with the KGB, origins of the PLO. That will deal with African Zionism or Black Zionism. That will deal with Black Lives Matter, how it was a form of the PLO, how it would use even the issues like police brutality, issues like criminal justice for the purpose of a free Palestine kind of we talk about these different things. So you'll see different ones they're like once a week, or I can't remember what the actual schedule is. We're not doing the schedule, but we have done the videos. I want to share with you, if you haven't seen it already, I want you to check out this. If you can cue it up for us, the first one on the We Are Not the Same series. We have that on there.
Let's be very clear. The historic Black struggle for freedom has absolutely nothing to do with Free Palestine.
Since the 1960s, Israel's enemies have tried to use the Black community for their cause. The goal wasn't to shape Black people's opinion, but to shape world opinion, to connect the historic Black struggle for justice with the Free Palestine goal to destroy the Jewish state. For groups like the Palestine Liberation Organization, Hamas, or the PFLP, Black people, especially Black leaders, were and still are a means to an end. I'm here to help you connect the dots. This is We Are Not the Same, How Free Palestine Exploited the Black Community. So that video may not be on our website at this moment out there. If you hear me graphics, people, make sure that goes on the website, but you can go, it is, the home for it is Facts for Peace. So that's on the IG, that's on their X page, and that's on their Facebook page, but it will also be placed there on the IBSI social media as well as then you'll see a link to it on our website as well. So all of those chapters will be there. The links will take them back to the IBSI.org website. So the videos will be short and succinct, but there'll be links that will be part of those videos. So just like I shared with you now, here's the articles, here's the information. Much of that information comes from my book, Zionism and the Black Church. So again, shout out to our partners there at Facts for Peace and for ATTN. Y'all know who you are. Appreciate you guys. And again, we're going to continue that series starts again or continues on this week, next week. And I think the first chapter is the PLO. Start about what the Palestine Liberation Organization actually is. And Hamas and the rest of these organizations are in the same vein, and why they always had a specific focus on the Black community, whether Black Americans, Africans, that was always the goal. And as we said in our last one, there's an article, again, when you go to IBSI.org, IBSI.substack.com, Africa Israel Weekly, our latest one is actually about this turning that's happening. That's going to be a separate series in and of itself. We have found, meaning IBSI, over the past, especially since October the 7th, 2023, there have been more and more organic conversations, not just online, but we're talking about across the country. There are those who are talking more and more about not just the Arab-Israeli conflict, those who are involved in that type of thing, but virulent racism within the whole Palestinian movement. Yep. They are talking about it. It was already happening October the 7th, especially the slaughtering of those African young men by Hamas and by these Palestinians who came to Gaza, and they took great glee and pleasure in slaughtering him and mutilating his body, young men from Tanzania. A lot of Black folks saw that. Those of us who know we weren't surprised at all, right? We were shocked and horrified in terms of the family, in terms of what we saw and just the evil and the nastiness of it, right? But we're not surprised by the mentality behind it. But because of the Abids, slaves, right? And worse than dogs. So they slaughtered those people, right? And then they're talking about the slave trade and all that type of thing, you know? And let me say this real quick. We're going to be rocking out here in a moment. For those in the fields. Oh, Pastor Misani, yes. That's Islamophobic. Oh, Pastor Misani, you can't say those things. It's anti-Arab. Ain't nobody anti-Arab. Ain't nobody afraid of Islam, right? We don't like terrorists, right? But it's calling it out. Here's the really easy thing. Remember I told you about the whole ICEJ case and everything? Watch this. I said this before. There are some 2 million African slaves in some 5 different African countries and other Gulf states as well. And because their slaveholders are Arab Muslim, no one says anything. What do you and I think would happen if Belgium and France and Spain were the ones actually trafficking in all those African slaves? You dang skippy, there would be an international abolitionist movement. So if you get up out your chair and your panties get in a bunch when you're talking about what the European slave trade and all the colonizing, if that floats your boat, but I tell you that there's Arab Islamic imperialism that's slaughtering Africans and been doing it for 1,400 years, and you want to call that Islamophobia, I rebuke you. How about that? I'm trying to keep it as PG-13. You're a coward. You're deceitful, right? If you only care when you can blame white people, that's a whole nother discussion for another day, right? I said it before. The picture of the Grand Mufti of Jerusalem and Adolf Hitler, 1941 in Berlin, there were two Nazis in that picture. One was Austrian, one was Arab. If you can only call out the white one and not the brown one, you need to go sit down somewhere. Then you don't need to be doing this, right? And so what's happening now, the greatest humanitarian crisis on the planet are in Africa. And who's doing it? Muslims. If that bothers you to say, then you don't need to be playing with the big boys. You need to go to romper room, right? So we're going to actually deal. We're not going to, because you're not going to call it out. You're not going to ever deal with it. This is what we're doing here. We're actually calling out. And what we're finding that in the Black community, even Black entrepreneur Africans, I'm watching some of them talk about the nefarious nature of not just the post-colonial area of blah, 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 and France and everything. Talk about what France, how France, the Francophone nations and all its manipulation, all that stuff. But, talk about what Qatar's fund, what they're really doing, right? The proxy war between Saudi Arabia and the UAE in Sudan. Africans are talking about these things. And I'm watching them, hearing it more and more. And good. Why? Because if we're going to actually bring some real solutions, we got to actually talk about the real problem. Right? So that's what's happening here. So that's why we do what we do. We're not talking about, we're trying to come against Muslims, come against Arabs. None of that. We're just talking about what's actually going on. The problem is that because we generally don't ever talk about it, it gets people in their fields. I think that's the last one. Okay, so now I want to say this last thing, then we're going to have to break out of here. We've already gone over an hour. We usually do about an hour, sometimes a little bit more, sometimes a little less. But last thing here, every third Tuesday, and that's going to start every week going forward, maybe at the beginning of the year, we're going to see, we have what's called IBSI Pastors Presents. And this is our time we bring our pastors together. And you don't have to be a pastor, but again, we have these different discussions, whether they're biblical, whether they're geopolitical. The last couple have been biblical on Tuesday, September the 16th. And you go to ibsi.org/dates for Jesus Spoke of Africa, why the Queen of Sheba visited King Solomon in Jerusalem. We're going to unpack why Jesus referred to that meeting between the Makeda and Solomon, which by Jesus's time was 1,000 years old. Right? What was that about, and what does that mean for today? So we're going to actually discuss those things as well. So now I don't even have an outro. If you have your own outro, you can do it. But we're getting ready to close it out here, Mr. Producer, in a second. But again, I want to thank you for joining us. This has been our first time together. Thank you for the journey to healing. They're on it. When I do it myself, I can't remember any of these things. So that is the graphic there. Joshua will be in New York Thursday, September the 4th at I don't see the time there because my eyes are doing its thing, but what time does it say there? I don't see the time. So Thursday, September 4th, I know it's in the evening. Go to joedavie.com. You see, you can get your tickets at joedaviemusic.com. He will be there, the Journey to Healing in Manhattan this Thursday in New York. So shout out to all y'all in New York. Josh has performed there before. This is part of his Journey to Healing tour that actually started in Jerusalem several months ago. He's been in LA, he's been in, where were we together? Chicago. He's had a great time in Chicago. He's been great time in these different venues, and it's been a real blessing. He's been sharing. I know it's been really a blessing to him and the people who've shown up. So again, you can make it out there. Our oldest daughter lives out there in Brooklyn, but she probably won't be able to be there on account of we are expecting our fourth grandson. Again, I don't want to tell you about how God's faithfulness. My daughter and son-in-law who live in Brooklyn, they have one boy. They have our third of our three grandsons. She is expecting any week now their second son, our fourth grandson, who just happened. He was conceived around the time of Olga's passing, right? So as bittersweet as I told my friends and I told my family, we are mourning the loss of our daughter-in-law, and we are also reminded that the God that we serve is a faithful God. And at that time that it was happening, our son-in-law and our daughter were conceiving our fourth grandson. We know that he's a boy because they did the sex check already, if you will. So again, in the next few weeks, God say the same as we are praying for the quickly delivery. And thank you all. Thank you so much again. So we will all, and we'll tell our grandson, you were conceived at the time that your Auntie Olga, who you never met before, but at the same time, and we know that it is your God's gift to not just your parents, but to our family. And so again, it is, we are very grateful to God for that again. So blessings, everyone. Thank you for joining us at the Institute for Black Solidarity with Israel Forum on Israel, Africa, and Black America. Next Monday, you and I will pick up from here and have much more to talk about and everything. Again, go to IBSI.org if you want more. Again, you can donate to there and click on donate, IBSI.org. You can also join our email address, our emailing list. You can also join our Substack from there, Africa Israel Weekly as well. And check out the videos and everything that are on there as well. All right. Thank you, everybody. See you next week. That's cool. You know what just hit me? That we don't have the outro on there. All right. So I thought it was gonna be some nice, cool music. I'm sorry I don't have the nice, cool music. I guess we can just play the other one again because I'd love to hear it again. And that song that you're hearing there is The First 7 Miles by our good friend, Mr. Randy Sandoli. And I think I'll close it out on that. Thank you, everybody. Have a great rest of your week.